Why did Professor Xavier allow the insect to join his school even if it couldn't speak? Because it was a mute ant. That's for the backstage.
Hi, my name is Chris Claremont. You're watching Omni X-Men.
And I had to start this show off with a joke because we have a guest tonight who does the same on his channel. And I even researched Professor Xavier jokes just for tonight. Yeah, welcome, folks. We are here. We are Omni X-Men. The New Mutant season is shockingly wrapping up. We're nearing the end. And tonight we've got a 2-issue banger for you. Arguably one of the biggest keys in the early issues of New Mutants. We're talking about some Legion tonight. And when I say we, I mean me and this guy.
Heyo! I see what you did there, by the way. I see what you did there. Well done, John. Well done. It was great. I don't know if you started drinking early or what, but that's great.
I mean, very early at work. I spent working hours researching mute ant jokes.
Love it. Amazing.
How you doing, man? Did you recover from the excitement of the Masters?
Yeah, dude. Oh, it was exciting. I don't know if you followed any of it. It really was.
Rory
very happy for him. Yes, so happy for him. Yeah, the Grand Slam.
I know nothing about any of this.
I know.
I saw it on your Instagram.
Yes, I'm like so shocked right now that we're having this conversation on this show. I see Matt and Clemson in the chat right now. He knows what's up with Rory McIlroy.
I gave our guest a little joke. I gave you a little sports talk. I'm trying to really give everybody what they're
giving for John. Yeah, I love it.
Saw those keys, banger New Mutants. We were joking backstage how we've found ourselves looking in the New Mutants bins a little bit more often these days.
Couple newsies. Yeah,
beautiful.
I have 2 of these, and I just realized I had this one, so perfect for tonight. Can't wait to talk about them.
Beauties.
Yeah.
Well, let's bring in our guest and see if he is as big a New Mutants fan as you and I. We got the one, the only, the Magic Lasso.
What's going on,
Ryan?
At first, I was like, "Shots fired." Then I'm like, "Oh, it's imitation, which is flattery."
Yes, there it was. See,
I got it.
It was a genuine. The joke did make me giggle when I first heard it. I was like, "A mute ant." I get it. There it is. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing good. I know why I was chosen as a replacement tonight. Should I go ahead and say?
Sure.
Because this past Sunday, I was in the vicinity of X-Men. I was in the vicinity of Chris Claremont. So that residual energy chose me to be on the show tonight.
There you go.
I mean, I heard you spoke to Storm.
She spoke to me too.
I'm saying,
JP,
that
Cyclops, talk to me.
That won't get you anywhere on this show. But the Storm thing,
I saw Cyclops, I saw Storm, I saw Nightcrawler, I saw Magneto, I saw Gambit, I saw 2 Jubilees. Wow. The new Jubilee was eating a salad, and I said to her, I thought mall babes ate chili cheese fries, and the old Jubilee lauged.
You got it.
I saw Sunspot.
Nice.
I saw.
Did you get a picture of Sunspot? I'm so curious.
No, I wish I would have. So
must have been very bright, but
yeah, it was very bright.
Yeah, doesn't photograph well.
Yeah, I mean, I saw more than that too. So amazing. I saw Forge.
Yeah, you were at C2E2, and it looked like a really good time. And I heard some exciting books were made and purchased. And your new editions episode that dropped today moved you further along. I won't say how far in this Volume 1 JLA collection that you're nearing to completion.
It was 8 before the video dropped today, and now it's significantly lower.
Whoa.
So you guys got to tune in. I've got the link to his YouTube and Instagram right down below. He is also being awesome tonight, beyond the norm, because he's covering our buddy Paul PJ Morris, not feeling great right now. And, he's hopeful. He said he was feeling better this morning, but still not 100%. We wish him all the best and hope he feels better. And thank Ryan for quickly subbing in for us today.
Yep. Thanks for asking and feel better.
Absolutely.
So let's say hello to the chat and then we can start going because we got 2 big time issues to get to tonight.
Let's do it.
We got father of a new white tiger baby cub. We got Ruben Guzman.
Awesome.
Tailgate.
Love it.
We got moderator extraordinaire Christina Payne.
Hi, Christina.
Hi, Christina.
We mentioned Matt and Clemson not too long ago. Matt and Clemson's in the chat. What's going on, my man?
What's up, Matt?
JP says, I got a reminder that I'm a moderator on this channel, and it's my job to keep the chat a great place. But then I saw Christina was already here, so I have nothing to do. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. She does take care of the work from both of us. Old Wolf says, just here looking at a thumbnail. I guess John is late again. Like 2 minutes.
Brutal.
Hey, Jackson Roy Kirk.
Back.
What's up, Roy Kirk?
He says, I
returned
return and I get dad jokes. I mean, like,
We missed
Matt
you,
says
man.
he's already drinking. He's starting that tonight. I actually haven't yet. It's here, but I haven't started yet. It was not Alicia Masters. No, different. This is a golf master. I think it's a sports ball thing.
Yeah, it's definitely sports ball.
Inja Binja. Okay, John, letting the hair grow out on the side. We see you. What I don't have. There's not a lot going on. Happy Tuesday. Yes, happy Tuesday, Inja Binja. Hope you're doing well. Brother Joe is in the chat. The singing song man who starts off those Friday shows for Fable just so darn well.
I love him.
Appreciate you, sir.
Yep.
It's just not a Friday when you don't hear Brother Joe singing.
It's true.
You talk to Cyclops. I am sorry.
Wah, wah.
I've missed all of you and this show, but not the artwork of one Bolshevaz William Felix Robert Sienkiewicz. He's not as big a fan, but it's all right. We still missed you, Jackson, a ton. Bobby De La Ghetto.
Station Bobby.
What's up, my man? Hope you're doing well. And there is our homies in the chat. I want to remind everybody watching now, stick around to the end. We do trivia at the end. And if you're in the live stream, you can answer questions and get on the big giveaway wheel because the giveaway is coming here soon, gang. We're like 2 months away from the big giveaway. And I keep adding stupid prizes to this giveaway wheel. You guys are going to get bowled over by all the things that we're throwing your way. So just hang out, be there, make some jokes, make Ryan laugh, throw some, Diana Ross comedy out there, and you could get a spot on the big giveaway wheel.
That's right.
That's right.
Also, Justin's links are down below because in 2 weeks, we're back on Justin's channel talking about the conclusion of this storyline. And we've got this Jamoke joining us. I have lassoed the old wolf for his appearance next week, in 2 weeks, the 29th. And he's going to break down the next 2 issues. We're going to make Old Wolf read, and he's going to read 2 books and have to talk about both of them.
Yes.
So be ready for that. Yeah. So make sure you're using all those awesome links and hanging out with us. We appreciate you guys. We got to know Ryan a little bit. I'm not going to bog us down with more trivia to get to know Ryan, but if you want, tomorrow night, I'm on his channel. We're talking Silver Age team books. We're not talking mutants. We're talking Avengers and Justice League of America. Yes. And if you want to see, as far as I know, the first time Batman dressed up in drag, you're going to want to watch this new episode. I'm just telling you, it happens. If you thought comics were woke now, you need to read some Silver Age Justice League. They got Batman in drag. I'm just telling you, it happens. So tune in to that show over on Magic Lasso's channel. I'm not even joking. Everybody's like, stop making jokes. This is legit. I even messaged Ryan as I finished the issue. I was like, I don't know what I just read, but it's hilarious, and you need to talk about it.
So before we get started, then I'll just ask one question. I'll make one statement, and we can get rolling. My question is, in this comic books, the 2 tonight, where was Dazzler?
The next page. You just got to turn.
She's always one page away.
She's in the comments section.
1 page away.
Oh, okay.
She's only 1 page away.
I think she's out with Lila Cheney. That's what I hear.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'll just say, since I asked my question, this is the first time that I think that's the first time you've ever had me for 2 issues in the same stream. So I will say
you usually pick early.
You can usually only handle me for 1. So I'll just say this and we can get going. Welcome to Omni X-Men with 2 issues with Magic Lasso. Hope you survive the experience.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us will, but it's all going to be fun either way.
I'm wearing a seatbelt right now, so I don't know if that's going to help.
Safety first.
Yes.
She was at the discotheque.
Oh, okay.
Says Bobby. The discotheque. La discoteca. All right. So let's dive in. We have got Legion, gang. We've been hinting at it. There's been little lead-ins. Of course, we had one of those character profile pages previous to now, but it's all happening now. We've got issues 26 and 27, sort of iconic key issues from the early New Mutants and Sienkiewicz era back April and May 1985. So let's talk about these covers. Holy be Sienkiewicz goodness here. Justin, you see these covers, you got the raw copies sitting there in front of you.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man. So I have to say, issue number 26, that cover is so recognizable for me, even before I ever got into the New Mutants. Definitely of the whole run, I think this might be the top tier for me. It's close. We've seen some really great ones so far, but this is definitely one that I've always recognized, even when I didn't know it was quite going on. I did know that it was a quote unquote key, but didn't know much else about it. And so now that I have the background, diving into this book itself and knowing the full story along with everything else, I just love it that much more. So this is definitely a book that, I said before, I accidentally bought a secondary one. I will continue to buy more of this book anytime I see it, especially if it's as cheap as it is. It's still a very affordable book in all things compared. So loved the cover for 26. Love 27 too. We got our guy Dougie on the front cover. I mean that alone between him and Danny, boosts it right there. So a little bit louder, but again, in terms of the style of what Bill does, and certainly accurate to the story. Just seeing that the team is in trouble. Warlock being the strange shapes that Warlock can be, just carries on a lot of that stuff. So I'm all for both of these issues. For
Sure. I will say in the strange shapes department, Legion is really in the strange shape there more than Warlock on that cover.
That is, yeah.
Say hello to our friend Adam Makes Stuff Up. What's going on, Adam? Good to see you, sir. Jackson says, I'll admit after 40 years, I get what Sienkiewicz was going for. Back then, I almost left the book, but now I do appreciate it, but still just not my cup of tea, which is totally fair. Magic Lasso, what are your thoughts on these two covers?
So I piggyback off of what Jackson said, because at the time, this was so different, and you didn't see anything like this in comic books. And you would slowly start to see other people or other companies and other artists and creators start to incorporate this type of style. And it drove me away from comic books at the time. Wow. Because it wasn't what I was used to. I wasn't crazy about it. Now, looking back at it with adult eyes and rereading this, I have a whole different sense of appreciation. And I'm really happy for this show that's given me the chance. I don't know if I would have picked up these issues at this time and reread them. So I appreciate it on a different level. I don't dislike it now. It's still not my favorite in comparison to what I look back at, but I do appreciate it. I really like the 27 cover much more than the 26, even though the 26 is more iconic. I like the coloring in the 27th. On the 27th cover. I also like, what they're doing, changing the colors with the trade dress. And I like the red and the blues together. I really like that. But I'll also say that looking at the 27 cover, if you would take Warlock and make him purple, for some reason, he just reminds me of Dino from the Flintstones.
That's all I'm going to see now.
Tony says he thinks Sienkiewicz took that bad acid at Woodstock. And maybe not wrong there. Kenneth Bird, what is going on, Kenneth? Good to see you.
What's up,
and
Kenneth?
Conlin's in the chat. What's on, Conlin?
Stevie.
Feel the same way, but grow to appreciate it. So that's nice. That's nice. People are feeling differently about it. I will say I grew up with Rob Liefeld, so maybe that's why I like Sienkiewicz so much. Shots fired. I definitely, this issue 26 is one of the first New Mutants books that I went and actively hunted down from the early run, way before getting into YouTube. It was one of those issues where I had basically collected most of the Liefeld era outside of Cable's first appearance, because I was a little too late for that character. But I even as an early collecting off the shelf. I had a first Deadpool. Nobody cared. Nobody wanted it. Everybody thought Deadpool was a stupid character, but I had it. And I wanted that Cable, and I wanted the Legion. Those were the books that I didn't have. And so as I got older, I've always watched for First Legion, and I ended up snagging one before I knew the show was on its way, but I knew nobody knew what the heck it was because everybody's like, it's not a mutant show. It's some weird psychedelic fever dream, much like these books. So this book meant a ton to me. I guess and then I must have snagged a 27. I was joking with Justin. I had to look at my CLZ to see if I had it. I must have snagged it in like a set where I was buying a few issues here and there of New Mutants, and I got one. So I've got one, I guess. I mean, I hope everybody says that, Jackson, but you just don't know. You just don't know. The art feels foreign. So for what I always thought of as superhero comics. And I do think it's obviously pushing and challenging the medium the same way. I think Barry Windsor Smith's artwork, I think, has the same effect on some of his books. And either you're into it or you're not. And it's just your reaction to those stories. I know that when I read Batman Arkham Asylum the first time, I was like, this is just hard to read. It's so psychedelic. But as an adult, I can appreciate kind of the fever dream of it. And I think what I like about 26 more than 27 is the hot cold of it. The photograph seems so like crisp, like the artwork, and the image behind it so out of control that I like that contrast a ton.
Yeah. Bobby said that the photograph of Legion looks kind of like Bill. It's interesting. Yeah.
Maybe he used himself as like a design for it.
Some inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's dive into issue 26. We start off with Warpath. No, it's not. I'm just kidding. No, this is Tom and that crazy nurse from the Demon Bear story. They got turned into Native Americans. You might have thought in your head, that's a story they're never going to go back to. Nay, no. Here it is. Nay. They are actually still alive and seemingly well. Tom looking fit. I mean, Tom was not swole last time we saw him, and then he turned into a Native American, and he got them shredded abs, and he's out there exercising. The nurse, not too blown away by it. She's not as impressed by this transformation. Her name is Sharon, and the two of them are in Muir Island, the research facility that Moira McTaggart has been running for so long, and they're basically under her watchful care because we're not quite sure what happened to them, why it happened to them, and how we'll ever change them back. So we do return to this unusual state that they're both living in, and it seems like Tom is kind of pumped on it. He's kind of like, I feel amazing. There's a little bit of subtle racism in his comments about being a Native American, but he seems to be happy with his new physique. Sharon, she's really wondering about her old life, and she's kind of wondering about missing it a little bit. And they are, while he is exercising and showing off a little bit, this spirit sort of comes through the wall and it screams at them, and they recognize it and they name it as David. And then they go rushing off to the room of yet another sort of patient here in Muir Island. And David is hovering. He is floating over his bed, screaming like he's having a nightmare, calling for people like moms and uncles. And he just seems kind of in a state. So kind of a crazy, I don't remember or know any of these people moment if you have not been reading these books too closely. Justin, what were your thoughts jumping right back into these two characters?
I was not expecting to see Tom and Sharon. I really was not. I mean, I don't know how to feel. I was like, a part of me was like, that was so random. Okay, fine, whatever. Let's just never have to go back.
You're like,
to
that's
it.
John Proudstar.
But
right?
at the same time, yeah. And now at the same time, I'm like, okay, like he's gonna continue their story. Fine. Where is this gonna go? I mean, I'm still curious. I'm still very curious where it goes. It is such an odd, part of the story, but nonetheless, here we are. It is interesting to see that they feel very different about it. Tom embracing it in a sense, especially the strength side of things. And then Sharon, not so much. She even explains here. She says, hey, I liked who I was as a woman. I want to go back to that life. So it is such a dramatic change. And in a way, I do hope we get more of this before I get to meet Claremont again, because otherwise I do want to bring this up to Claremont and genuinely be like, what was the, I don't know. What was the thought?
Signed my first appearance of Tom Conti.
Yeah, yes, yeah, right. And then getting this scary ghost kind of coming through. I mean, this quickly goes from kind of odd and lighthearted to very nightmarish, as you had mentioned. Scary. That drawing of the child screaming definitely was jarring, especially the first time I had kind of swiped to that first panel, the all white and gray, and then to see him floating in the bed, and I mean, he doesn't even look like a kid per se. It just looks almost monstrous,
right? Versus the image on the wall seems very childlike.
Yeah, right, yeah. So it's all very very dark vibes right off the bat.
Sure. Ryan, how about you? What are your thoughts on the transformation of Tom and Sharon and this kid they seem to be babysitting?
So 2 things that I really want to say. Number 1 is something that I think most people say. It's just worth repeating. And that's, does anything good ever happen on Muir Island? No.
Like
so if you're going to Muir Island, you're in trouble. Number 2, the thing that nobody says that everyone should at least acknowledge, let's just take it out, let's unpack it, let's just take a moment to say, where are his nipples?
They're on the bat suit. Val Kilmer has them on his bat suit.
No nipples. Yeah, that's what I got to say.
Very, very valid.
That's part of the transformation. I don't want to tell you what else he lost, but all right. That's it for Ryan.
That's it.
Well, good, because we'll jump right into the rest of this fever dream nightmare. Furniture, coffee cups and objects flying around the room. They hit Tom in the head. They hit Sharon in the head. I don't know why it's only aiming for the head, but it is. And it seems like he's hovering with a little bit more intensity now. And this energy, this flame coming off of his hands. And they hear a woman's voice, all these sort of strange, it's almost like an exorcist moment. And then this laughter, he's laughing and they're all left with kind of wondering what this thing means. And we get the word Legion kind of spelled across the page there. So Ryan, this is how we start the book. I don't know if you've read these issues before, but what are your thoughts here on the introduction of David Haller?
So I have read these books before. I had these in my collection. It's been decades since I've read them. It definitely was an exorcism. And I think that they make a comment too, that like they can't leave, like something is like keeping them there from being able to leave. It definitely sets the stage, because essentially this has all been a prequel to the beginning of the story.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I was trying for a spin-off book, but Shooter wouldn't go for it. All right. That's fair. He was going to get the story of Tom and Sharon in their own book. I can see that. Justin, so we get David here, we get the maniacal laughter, we get the exorcism moment. What were the vibes? Were you thinking more Exorcist or more Ghostbusters as far as hovering above the bed here?
Definitely Exorcist. And yeah, I mean, it's I mixed feelings, right? Because we get this, what seems to be this innocent, scared kid, but then at the same time, you get this evil laughter on that final set of panels there. So just kind of wondering, like, what is it? What is he? Is this a bad guy, a good guy? I don't know much about Legion. Like even from the newer stuff, I didn't read much of that series when, from Hickman stuff and the Krakoan era stuff. So I still didn't fully understand his powers to begin with. So this is all, pretty new to me, and just the curiosity, the confusion, all that was kind of mixed into seeing all this.
Sure.
I will say the character, at least from these panels and even like from the front cover, kind of made me think of Sandman's Dream. Just a little bit. I mean, I guess maybe like the blowout haircut kind of style,
right?
The vibes of just the darkness and everything, that's kind of being told right now. So that was just kind of where my mind went as I started to read more of this.
Sure, for sure. We got Paul in the chat. I hope you're feeling better, Paul.
What's up, Paul?
Good to see you, our friend.
Yeah, feel better, man.
And I'm assuming neither of you ever watched the television series.
No.
I did not.
Okay.
You've told me about it, right, John? That's what you
I recommend it. I love it. If you're willing to just be like, this is an acid trip and I just want to watch it, and it's only like mutant adjacent. It's not really like pure X-Men. It's very mutant adjacent. If you can go into it with that mindset, especially after reading this omnibus, I think you'd really enjoy it. So just something to think about, folks. Yeah. Okay, well, let's dive into a really rough landing from the X-Men as they're coming to Muir Island. It looks like they scraped the side of a mountain as they come in and touch down. The team is exiting the Blackbird, but it's not the X-Men. Beyond Sean Cassidy, we've got Xavier and the New Mutants squad, and they are heading to Muir Island because they've been summoned. If you had read the previous issues, you know that Moira has called for Xavier, saying she needs assistance with a patient on the island. And so the team is now, the kids have come to Muir Island with Xavier. Rain is very excited to see Moira because Moira was the one that really rescued her from a dangerous moment when we first met her, treated her like a loved one, like a child, cared for her, and made sure she made her way to Xavier's school. But Moira's like looking like bone, so she's quick to get to Sean Cassidy and give him what for. And Rain is kind of like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm on the outs. Turns out, though, no, I didn't forget you. I was just giving my man his snugs first. She goes over, she pulls Rain aside and says, I've missed you too, sweetie. Don't worry, I did not forget about you. Rain, tears on her face, seems very, very happy to be reuniting. Meanwhile, Danny is watching over Warlock because he is behaving kind of silly. He's got this black bird emoji kind of running out of his head, and she's just making sure because he's still acclimatizing to our world. And as a techno organic creature, his understanding of living things versus dead things versus, inanimate objects, he is really struggling with all of that stuff, and therefore, needs a little bit of babysitting in some ways. So, Justin, what are your thoughts here on the New Mutants arriving in Muir Island?
Yeah, so I had kind of forgotten this connection between Rain and Moira. So, I mean, I was a little, I guess, and as we get even further into it, like, she really is like falling into this whole, mama kind of, that back and forth. And I guess it was just like interesting to think about, again, trying to just keep in mind how young she is. And she's definitely gone through a lot. She's not your average kid for sure. I do think it's funny that like she got jealous, when Moira was just saying hi. I just picture Moira like stiff arming her to go to Sean,
right?
Like, get out of here, kid.
For sure.
And then, the more I read these books, I just think, I'm still learning a lot about Warlock. I just think he's going to be one of my favorite characters. I just feel like even just these little scenes of like him going off with this, the little blackbird, and everyone's like, what's he doing? And figure it out. But like, I don't know, just all this little quirkiness. I love that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. We got James Schultz in the chat. What's going on, Schultz? Good to see you, sir.
Hey.
And we got Candace Barbosa in the chat. What's going on, Candace?
Candace.
She's going to be a guest here in just a few episodes, so be ready for good Candace on the show as well.
That's right.
Ryan, so what are your thoughts on Rain being, seems like she's a little bit sensitive, really needing a lot of love and attention these days?
I thought that was well written for a character of her age and very accurate. And like Justin, I had kind of forgotten as well the connection between the two of them. I'm like, oh yeah, I get this. And I understand why this is so strong. And, in a moment they'll play back to that beat as well. So I like that. I love the panel when they have departed the Blackbird, just the way that Warlock's head is tilted. You see on that panel, and it's so odd shaped. And I think that's interesting. And I also like the fact that Warlock goes over and actually has a conversation with the Blackbird as if it's a human being.
Well, let me jump to that page and we can talk a little bit about it. Yeah. He runs over and he's basically unable to distinguish between the Blackbird as an inanimate object or as a friend machine. And he's having a whole conversation telling it like, I'm sorry that you can't come in and join us. I'm sorry. Thank you for taking us here. They have this kind of meaningful conversation, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I like that part too.
Yeah. They go inside. They meet Jamie Madrox. If those that don't know of the Multiple Man, Jamie is a very fun character, often connected to X Factor and other teams as well. But here he is working, as he often does, with Moira in the lab. His mutant ability allows him to create duplicates of himself that are allowed to do and interact with other things, and then can rejoin with him as well and pass their information back to him. So he is explaining that they had an incident just the other night where their two newly Native American guests at Muir Island sort of went comatose, and they're in a sort of stasis, and they've got them in these little, hyperbaric chambers. And while they're bringing Xavier in to examine them, he bumps into Gabrielle Haller, who he's very stunned to find there. and remembers her from a previous meeting and dalliance romance. And in the past, it's sort of hinted at that he helped her with a problem with his mutant ability. He was able to help her, but we get hints at kind of what's going on. She mentions, by the way, we called you here because of my son, David. And they walk by his room where he seems to be non-responsive. He seems to be, she says he's autistic. He seems to be sitting there with one of multiple people and getting care, but does not seem to be interacting in any real way, in any real tangible way with the staff. So we see him as kind of catatonic, although he is able to move around. He does seem to be sitting up here. We saw him, of course, screaming out and floating in the previous pages. So yeah, Brian, what are some of your thoughts on Xavier and Gabrielle and David here connecting?
The thing that actually struck me the most is you don't see people smoking that much in comic books. And if you do, it's Wolverine. And here we have, a
Nick
female
Fury
character that's smoking. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting that, it's just something that you just didn't see a whole lot. I mean, smoking was much more common and accepted then, but you didn't see a female character doing it in your comic books. And you didn't see a lot of smoking anyway, but I thought that was interesting. I've always been a fan of Multiple Man, just to jump back to him for a second. So to see Jamie in here is always fun.
I think he's a really interesting character.
At this point in rereading the story, I'm like, I could tell already this was going to get good. all the foundation was laid, and I'm like, this is going to get good.
Sure.
Yep.
We got
except for saying Wolf. where the heck was Sam?
What's up?
I mean, yeah. He's nowhere to be found. He's probably on tour with Lila Cheney, right?
Yeah.
JP says, Rain needs an adult to comfort her. How can this be when Xavier's her guardian? Surely he is giving her the support that she needs. Oh, wait. Yeah, I get it. Lefty Blues is in the chat. What's up, 62? Ooh. When are you guys going to cover the X-Men? I mean, Xavier's here.
Sean is here.
Sean was in passing. I don't know if he's still around. He's floating.
Yeah.
Justin, what are your thoughts meeting Gabrielle Haller and sort of the situation that's going on here on Muir Island?
So I was trying to think back if this was a character I was supposed to have known from any of the previous readings that we did. And the only thing that was even remotely coming to mind was when we read the flashback history of Professor X and Magneto. I think it was like 160 or something like that, Uncanny X-Men. And again, that was like a girl that he had helped. And that was the only thing that really crossed my mind because of this story where he kind of re-references that, she was someone that he had helped a long time ago, kind of a patient. It seems like there's been, kind of a love interest as well in the background. But again, so it didn't really confirm any of that stuff. So I just ended up chalking it up to, okay, this is a new character that I don't know about, but there's, just clearly history. So am I right there? I mean, I'm not missing
I want to say there was a moment where she's with Moira asking Moira to call Xavier, but it may have occurred in a small, like one page in an earlier New Mutants
but nothing
episode.
More significant than that.
No, nothing significant, but I do remember, I feel like I remember a page previous to this where she was asking Moira to have Xavier come and help her with her son.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So, that was the only thing I was kind of thinking about for that. And then, Multiple Man, like I'm very interested in him. I don't know. We had gotten him, I guess, early on in the Uncanny stuff, but that was really like earlier, like
Jamie
90. For Jamie. Yeah. We had seen him in like maybe, I don't know, 97 of the Uncanny run or something like that, where he just kind of popped in. So I've always been intrigued about that character. I haven't really read much about him, but like even just him, like kind of multiplying as Doug like shakes his hand, or I guess he bumps him or something.
Yeah.
And he explains, he's like, hey, I duplicate myself if you hit me, so take it easy on those handshakes or whatever. Like just kind of, and then meanwhile, and the other one, to be honest, I mean, I think the whole issue with David here, what stems from him getting so angry is he's being teased with that teddy bear. Do you see the Jamie just holding that teddy bear away from him? That's, I mean, I don't know.
That's going to put anybody in a state.
Yeah, I got upset just looking at it. So anyways, that's for my mind.
Anybody hunting for Jamie's first appearance, you're looking for Giant Size Fantastic Four issue number 4.
Yes, I actually think
it can be very expensive. It's like $100 book for the most part. Like at least super high grade can be a couple hundred.
I think I have a very low grade.
There you go. I do not have this one at all, but it would be cool to get. And he's on the cover battling the team. It's a really cool, fun cover.
Yeah.
We had another friend jump into the chat. I thought, did I miss somebody? Nope. I guess I didn't miss anybody. I'm doing all right. Let's see. It was X-Men 127 that we saw him in. Okay, there you go.
Oh, okay.
There you go. And see, he lost one of his multiples to Proteus in that battle.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Which makes sense because we're kind of referenced Proteus a little here in this one.
Yeah, it was all the Mirror Islands.
Yeah.
Stuff.
I just want to say that Adam just inspired me. My new $1 million idea.
Oh.
An X-Men themed Mexican restaurant, X-Mex.
Now you just need to design the food that's on the menu. That's gotta have fun names.
I told John last week that I had an idea for a Robin Williams themed restaurant called Fork and Mindy. I did. I texted you
Justin's too young for that joke. He's too young.
Go ahead.
I'm going to keep us moving along. We're jumping away. We're jumping away from Muir Island as we often do. This time we're landing back in Massachusetts, where the Massachusetts Academy, run by Emma Frost, she is having a moment where she's talking to the character Empath, one of the mutants that is on her squad at her school. His full name, she mentions Manuel Alfonso Rodrigo de la Rocha, and he has the ability to control your emotional state and therefore in some ways control you. They have a little battle of the wills. We've seen in previous storylines that Empath is kind of screwing up her team. He's kind of messing things up and driving her a little crazy. So she decides to give him a light spanking here and basically say, look, I'm the captain. You know, you chill yourself out here. You're a team member. You're a kid. You're a spoiled brat. Like, get yourself under control. He decides, no, I'm not having it. I'm going to make you fall in love with me and I'm going to manipulate you. And just when he thinks he's got her, she just basically slaps him right back down and says, you idiot. Come on. Like your power is nothing. You got nothing on me. And I just wanted to see how pathetic your machinations really were. And she just shuts him down. I threw the picture down there. She Uno reverses him like beautifully. And he's dust. So I was curious. Let's go to Justin. What your thoughts were on Emma and Empath and how she's basically, this is her Professor Xavier moment where she's basically sitting in the chair and talking to the students. Right?
Yeah, this is. I love that we went to this like direction. And again, more of Chris Claremont adding those little sprinkling seeds everywhere. I like that we got this little bit. I like Empath, and I want to learn more about him. And of course, I'm curious what is going on in the world of Emma. So just to kind of see these two, we did see hints of this earlier, as she even references of him kind of messing with the other team members and trying to take control. So I do love that. For a second, he actually thought that his powers, he could just kind of overtake her, and for her to even kind of play into it and then immediately smack him upside the head and call him a fool. Like, I loved everything about it. That's why we love Emma to begin with. She's such a badass. And, so I just love this little interaction between the two of them. It really was enjoyable to read.
For sure. And I did miss somebody. I missed Fable.
Station.
Fable. Good to see you, friend. Sorry that we didn't catch you when I didn't see you when you did come through, but good to see you. And Brother Joe was in here earlier, and I shouted you guys out your Friday show. Hope things are going well. I thought Tex-Mex was a new Mexican restaurant, so he beat you to it. There it is. So he's excited about it. Emma, I'm sure, is dressed appropriately for working in the school. Yes, very appropriately for chatting with a student. Yeah. Candace loves this scene as well.
Yes.
He can come to your emotional rescue, says Bobby. Emotional damage. Okay, Ryan, what were your thoughts on Emma Frost, spanking her student emotionally, I guess you could say?
This section is such a great little Easter egg, because one of the reasons that Emma is really, well, not one, the reason she's mad at him, and I'm quoting, is Emma says, your self-indulgent manipulation of Firestar's emotions has quite possibly depraved the Hellfire Club of an invaluable asset. In the space of a day, your cruelty has undone years of work. So she's pissed over Firestar. And then the little notation says, for details and further see X-Men 193 and the Firestar miniseries. So that hasn't come out yet. But I recently reread the Firestar miniseries a few months back, and I hadn't read it in quite some time. So to get this page, which I had forgotten about, was such a great little Easter egg to that, to see how pissed she is. That's cool. And then I love it how she's like, this idiot thinks that he can control me. So I'm gonna give it to him for a second and then smack him down. Yes, I loved it. I just loved this part.
And for those that don't remember, 193 was the last issue in the last Uncanny omnibus that we read. So we ended with 193. So that portion at least we've covered. If you want to see and recap that issue, you can catch that in one of our playlists.
Yeah.
But yeah, so next season we will start at 194. That's where we're gearing for. All right. So yeah, we jump back now to Muir Island and the team, down by the bay, walking the docks there and enjoying Muir Island. Sadly, Warlock still struggling with acclimating. He sees a seagull and he's like, food. And he turns it into a techno-organic creature and then drains its life force. And everybody's like, oh, come on, man. And they try to stop him. Danny puts her hand on him. And then she's like, oh, my God, is my hand going to turn into something? Is it going to kill me? Is this thing contagious? What's going on? And Warlock's just like, no, dude, I didn't harm you. Nothing bad's happening. I just was eating the bird. Like, it's no big deal, right? It's not alive, right? Meanwhile, apparently, Muir Island is very tiny. Because the dock workers who are hanging out there are like, that's the werewolf chick we were harassing a few years back. Let's harass her again. And they roll over like they've already had the pitchforks and the torches just waiting to reuse. Like, we set them all down in a pile and now she's back. We got to pick them all up again. So they go right back into Frankensteining her and just march right up and start hurling all kinds of insults. Thankfully, she doesn't want any part of it. And she's like, you know what, guys, like, let's just go. And so the team tells them they're being jerks and then takes off and walks back. Then we get arguably my favorite little moment, and I didn't blow it up very big, but we get Xavier, and he is working to connect with David on a psychic level by connecting using his astral form and kind of or psychic form and going into David's mind. But he has this thought as he's going in, and he basically says, I sense that the New Mutants, that they're upset, especially Rain, but it doesn't appear to require my intervention. So I'm going to go and focus on this kid. So he has a moment where he knows they're dealing with something, but he doesn't have the time. I don't got the time. This is another classic Xavier moment. Instead, he is looking at a giant brick wall. It seems that inside of David's mind, he has created what Xavier calls a psi wall or a psychic barrier to keep him out. And while he's examining it, a face appears and David's childlike face is screaming. And Xavier's kind of like, what is going on? And he is sort of launched back out of the psychic realm into the natural world. And we see David sitting up in bed, just cackling in laughter. And Xavier left kind of baffled as to what's going on here. So Ryan, where do you want to dive in? Do you want to kill seagulls? Do you want to, deal with rampaging villagers, or do you want to deal with psychic warfare?
Well, I first I knew we were going to get that priest back because I remembered him, from the graphic novel. So that was a little predictable, but still expected. If Claremont didn't put this in, I've been like, why didn't he put that in? I was totally waiting for that. But what I kind of could have gotten into just in this one moment is one like lonely little widow woman looking around saying, has anyone seen Angus McSquirter? He used to be around here somewhere.
They had to cut that part.
Oh,
it's disappointing.
And when we actually delve into the David thing, do you not get Joker vibes from all of those ha-ha-ha-ha-has all over? Sure. I mean, that's an homage to the Joker. It has to be.
Absolutely. Big time. Yep.
Yeah. Justin, what about you? Where were you on the? Did you have your pitchfork ready? Were you ready for that?
Yeah. So man, this guy, Reverend Craig. I'll tell you, if I ever
doesn't have a lot to do in his life.
He doesn't. It's like he's just waiting around, and then here's this big moment. He just sees rain again, and just says, "Hey, everybody!"
He's patient, if nothing else.
Yeah, very patient.
He's very ready.
Not a lot to do on the island, clearly. Yeah, so that was interesting. I love the scenes with Danny freaking out when she touched Warlock's hand. She's like, first she's like, don't do that in public. You can't, and Warlock doesn't know. Again, a lot of this is just so, in a way, he's so naive, and even though he's, so advanced technology, like all that stuff, but like, so he doesn't know, and he's just kind of just exploring. He kills this bird, and then she grabs him. I just love the hand, her holding it. She immediately doesn't care about what he just did because she's more, concerned about that. Doug is there to kind of, break it up. Hey, everybody, we're cool. Everybody say cool. We're all right. You're going to be fine. One thing that Roy Kirk pointed out in the chat, and I totally am right there with him. He said that this reminded him of Pink Floyd. Yeah, seeing the walls there, obviously the trippiness. It could be, the wall could be a whole soundtrack to this series, these sets of books here, with how trippy it is and everything else. So love that aspect. And in general, I do find the whole astral plane, like the idea of that so fascinating, just in general, like across the board.
Well, I know you're a burgeoning Doctor Strange fan, so I think some of that, there's a little connectivity there.
Oh yes,
I think the astral plane and then the psychic plane are a little different, but it's a subtle difference, I think, in some ways.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yet, to Ryan's point, the ha 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 in black and red at the bottom right hand corner there. Holy crap, like that, it just takes it to that next level of how dark and almost evil like that it really is. So,
it's insanity. Insanity. Laughter is scarier than maybe anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. For sure.
Yep. 100%. Sorry, I clicked on Rosko there too quickly, but what is up, Rosko? He is our featured artist this year, and we have a giveaway item, and I think Rosko said he's hard at work on this item for us. It's a wraparound cover that he is making as a New Mutants giveaway this year, and the show is coming up. So very excited to see Rosko reveal the artwork at some point here on one of these streams. So get ready for that.
Absolutely.
I know a lot about astral planes from TV shows like Charmed. This is a little different, but similar idea.
Cool.
I get all my astral plane image from Charmed. Understanding. That's where I learned everything. So we go from here back to the other island in the South Seas, in the Bermuda Triangle, I should say, where Lee, also known as Alicius Forrester, is sort of bedding up with Magneto in a way. They've kind of made friendly a little bit when she escorted him to this island. We've been getting sort of a page or two each episode on this character growth. And Magneto is sort of traumatized and having these nightmares. In this particular sequence, he seems to sort of launch his bed out the window, and Lee decides, you know what I want to do? I want to go for a ride on that Magneto bed ride. So she jumps on board with him and tries to wake him, and he is able to save them, thank goodness, at the last second. And then that's the recipe to smash. Clearly, that's the moment when it's like, let's get down. You jumped into my bed, and this is all working now.
Brown chicken, brown cow. Yep. That's what that is.
Meanwhile, we jump back to Xavier, who's decided to get drunk by the fireplace after his issues with dealing with David. And Gabrielle comes in, and Gabby is basically saying, thank you for coming. My son's mental health is very important to me, and it reminds me of what I was dealing with and how you helped me navigate my psychosis and my challenges, and I really hope you can do the same for him. And Xavier's like, sure, of course. Why don't you give me all the details? And she's like, I can't tell you anything. I'm not going to say anything. My son's mental health is really important, but I can't say anything. And he pulls his whole, well, I will not invade your mind, even though I do it all the time. I'm not going to do it. And so we're left at a stalemate where clearly she's got secrets that she's keeping. He doesn't want, he's trying to be better about not invading people's minds. So we're at an impasse. Never mind, good readers. Even if we did not know the reveal that's about to come, it seems this is one of those moments, and I'm curious, Ryan, when you read this is a painfully obvious moment where I don't need to be psychic to know what she's keeping from me here.
Exactly. With the Xavier stuff, it's like you said, he's like, oh, I can't invade her privacy. I'm such a disciplined mutant, and I'm the please. Like you said, you do it all the time to everybody else. So why is now different?
Yeah. No. Yep.
jumping back to the Magneto and Lee stuff, for me, because I had forgotten this part too, I almost wish that was a 4-issue miniseries. Those two together right there.
Yes, I
and
agree.
I'm like, there's definitely meat on that bone to pull off of and see what's going on.
Mm.
And
Magneto and Lee, sexual magnetism.
Yeah, well, exactly. So, I mean, even before they get to the point where they're stirring that spaghetti sauce, I mean, you know what I mean, stirring that spaghetti sauce. So
they cook.
Yeah, all the subtlety.
Yeah. So, but even before then, it's just this part to me was so interesting. When I got to this and started reading this, I'm like, oh, like it left me wanting more to know what's going to happen with them. So that's why I wish that there was a mini or something on that to delve into this part more.
Let's get it. Let's get that. I'm all for it. Let's see. Jackson Ray Kirk says, I will not invade your mind, but whoop, you no longer have the urge to smoke. Done.
Saving lives.
So wait, you're helping her provide her therapy and you hooked up with her. We definitely recognize concern. Justin, as someone who probably knows the reveal that was coming, does it seem too patently obvious here?
Yeah, for sure. And I did kind of question, like, is it because I already knew, or is it just how upfront it all is? And I'm sure it really is kind of a combination of that. Yeah. I will say it is interesting for her to also explain the other aspect of like what was going on in her mind. And again, maybe she's partially lying just to cover up that real truth, but she does. I found it interesting that she talks about like how when she first understood his abilities and everything and kind of what he did, she was questioning her. She says she stayed away from him for a long time because she was kind of scared of him. And she was questioning if the thoughts that she had of him were things he placed in her mind and ways that she felt were things he did to make her feel that way, or was it real? Was it a genuine thing? So for someone that powerful, and again, if you're just a regular human and you don't have any mutant powers or have never experienced any mutant powers before like that, and for someone like him to come along and do what he did, like, yeah, I would be a little nervous as well. Like, what could you do? Sure, you seem good-hearted. I hope that you are, but like, that's some scary crap, and who knows what you did to me?
That's a great point that you make, because she's sitting there going, "Have I been violated?"
Yeah, absolutely.
And she doesn't even know.
Right. Yes, by Xavier when he was your doctor.
Yeah. That's a very interesting point.
Happened.
Yeah. So that's what made me partially be like, okay, like maybe this could throw the scent off a little bit as far as like what we are kind of perceiving as obvious. And again, it does help for myself just that did know kind of the general, the key to this book. But if I didn't, I don't know, I kind of might not, maybe I didn't pick it up all the way, or at least I'd be kind of questioning it, But either way, I think it's really well done. And just seeing these little moments, while I did feel like there was a ton of word bubbles, and really throughout these two issues, I do think it was needed, and to have these in-depth moments. There's a lot of character building, and then the other thing I agree with Ryan here about seeing Magneto and Lee. I mean, I've been enjoying this little side story, and I've been very curious too about like where does it go. Like from last episode. It was a little bit of I did question, like, do they like flirt? Are they like flirting, or is that just like, are they just like, is he just stubborn and she's just like, you're an idiot and yada yada? But no, like we get this moment here, and now I'm hoping. I mean, from what Ryan said, I guess there is no mini series, but I'm hoping that at some point Magneto runs into Cyclops and says, "I got your girl, bro."
You chose the wrong woman.
Yeah. How's it feel? I got you, bro. You got your girl, bro.
I also feel like there's a basic math problem here where Xavier's like, Gabby, I'm happy to help you. Your son is having he's got telepathy. He's got psychic powers. Okay, interesting. How old is he? Like,
yeah, exactly. Do the math.
We banged. How old is he?
Yeah,
like there's no moment where he's just asking the question, how old is she? Which would show that he's like, I can add. Like, I know math, like basic math. So that bothered me that he was just so like lost in his self. I don't know.
Yeah, not even like that.
Would Chuck have manipulated some woman he liked into bed with his abilities? Surely not. But let's look and his other actions to see if it's capable. Oh no. I'm an honorable man tomorrow. All fair. All fair. Well, let's continue along here. We jump to Rain in the sort of bedroom for the New Mutants, and she's like, you know what? I really need to get out of here. I want to go and talk to Moira. So she transforms and runs across the island to where Moira is working late at night and comes in and has this sort of sensitive moment. And Moira more than happy to accommodate and just like, it's so happy to see you. You know, that I'm glad that you're here. And then Rain picks up on danger. There's a little danger moment, and there's a floating head sort of screaming out a warning, but it's in Arabic and they can't quite understand what David is trying to do. And then a giant explosion and scene. That is the end of issue 26. So Justin, what were your thoughts on sort of this sort of rapid ending here that we get?
Yeah, I do like that it kind of just, it was a quick moment overall. There was so much else going on. Yeah, thanks, Tony.
Screw you, Tony.
There's so much going on, you know, other buildups that, you know, I was like ready to get into the next issue, essentially, knowing that this was essentially, you know, going to the end. But yeah, just another little subtle reminder of the relationship between Rain and Moira. But then, yeah, immediately just kind of get, you know, this cliffhanger of this haunting face coming at them. So
sure.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good way to just, yeah, hey, we got to jump right into the next issue.
Ryan, any thoughts here on Rain's little moment with Moira?
That first top panel, the way she's got her arms reminds me of like a little Scooby-Doo moment. Like I'm tiptoeing in and out so no one can hear me. But This is the moment that plays out that I mentioned earlier with Moira and Rain. Mm-hmm. And it kind of comes full circle. Loved it. Great ending. As a matter of fact, I read this last night, not knowing last night I was going to be on the show today. And as soon as I got done with this, I instantly went into the next issue. It wasn't one of those I could have easily braked. Right. But I was like, no. This book was really good. I really liked how it was set up, how it was executed, and how it ended. Yeah, so
nice.
I was ready for more.
Adam is surprised she didn't find the mob with pitchforks. They seemed so active all day long, but somehow night came and they didn't.
They were tired.
Yeah, they got busy. Bobby says, if there's a giant floating head, it must be Tuesday. It is. Welcome to Omni X-Men. And we jump into the next episode, Into the Abyss. Xavier and the team are checking on Moira and Rain, who have gone sort of catatonic, much like Tom and Sharon are newly Native American friends. So we now have new people seem to be suffering from the David Haller effect. And Xavier's trying to see if they're okay. They seem to still be breathing and well, but they're definitely non-responsive. He decides to go into the astral plane and check on David, who is snuggling now. And he got that teddy bear away from Jamie. So he is happily in bed, enjoying his little snuggies. And he can't quite figure out what's going wrong or how to solve this problem, knowing that there's a psi wall kind of enabling keeping him from engaging with David. Danny has a solution. She says, look, I'm connected to Rain. Rain is pulled into this whole thing. Maybe you use me as this bridge, and you can use my mind and connection to Rain, and we can get our way in there. Xavier's like, that sounds really dangerous. That sounds really unsafe. It sounds like it could harm you. Let's give it a shot. That's basically where this ends. Ryan, any thoughts on where we're heading now?
So that full page Into the Abyss, I love how they made that fade into black and go down. Very creative. That's great. The next page with David laying in bed, and my first look on it, then I'm like, oh, wait, that's just Bill's style. But at first I'm like, man, David's got him some eyebrows going on. And then I'm like, oh, no, that's his head resting on the pillow. That's the indentations from that. So,
I mean, it could have been the eyebrows. Sometimes it is.
You know, it's a typical what you've come to expect from Xavier, from Charles. It's too dangerous to do it. Well, let's go do it. You know.
Justin, any thoughts here on kind of this, how we're jumping back into this?
Yeah, so there are several moments, and this has been ongoing, but several moments where Danny Moonstar is the MVP of this
Right.
book and of this team. And this is one of those times. She proves herself again and again and again. Like I said, a couple of issues ago, same thing, where she comes up with ideas and Xavier says no, or it's not a great idea because it's not safe for you, or blah, blah, blah. And then they go and do it and it works out great. So I just is just another time. And she makes a good point. She's like, we don't have much choice regardless. Like, what else are we going to do? And he's just like, yeah, good point. Okay. Well, let's do it. So yeah, I love Danny, and yeah, Professor X just needs to let her do her thing.
I mean, I guess let's give her a shot.
Yeah. The other thing was I do like anytime that and even in this last issue, the previous issue, anytime that Xavier does go into the astral plane, I do like how he it shows him jumping out of the body, going into, like, you can see him going into that wall in that like dead center panel there with the pink backgrounds or whatever. So I think that's all cool and really well done. Cat, hello, Cat.
Yeah, sorry, she came jumping up here, and I was like, "You're not touching the camera."
Yeah,
and
not talking
I
about
know
it, man.
Candace is enjoying the cats, so I thought I'd just
There you go. Nice.
No, I do. Yeah, I love that look.
Yeah, and then also as Ryan pointed out, I am glad that Jamie had finally given the teddy bear to the kid. So clearly that was the issue. He's much happier now. So
yeah, right.
Resolved.
All better. Just needed the teddy bear.
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna see what other trauma we can get into. Charles decides, okay, let's give this a shot, but I do need to know everything before I go in here. And of course, Gabby's like, I can't tell you everything, but good luck. This kid scares the crud out of me, but good luck.
As she takes it off.
Yeah. Meanwhile, David seems very happy. He's got a little wry smile on his face. Xavier takes Danny into the astral plane. They find Rain, who is out of control. They're trying to pull her off. There's this intense fire coming off of her, and it seems to engulf the bystanders who are watching this experiment take place. Warlock is like, what is going on? Nobody seems to be harmed by the fire, but they can feel the heat and they can see the flames. So it's this sort of psychic fire that they're all sort of dealing with. Meanwhile, Xavier's like, well, now I got to carry Danny. I don't know what's going on here. He builds a sort of force bubble and uses it as a way to sort of protect them in the psychic plane where they're at. And he decides, I'm going to take on this giant wall and try to see if I can break through to the other side and kind of see what's going on. So we've already got this psychic battle brewing between the two here. Ryan, what were your thoughts on this as we dive into David's mind?
Yeah, so when they jump in, I thought it was quite interesting that Danny says, wow, Professor, you look fantastic. I never dreamed you were such hot stuff.
Yep.
And I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yeah,
wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, that's a little jarring.
Yeah. The use of the reds against the colors that they're doing just makes everything pop so much more. And it's so different. It's almost like they saved the reds until we got up to this portion to really help make them pop. And I really like that. And we don't talk about the colorists as much as we should, but I think the colorists in the last issue and this issue especially are really delivering. Their work is enhancing the story.
100%. Yeah. Justin, thoughts here on the mind of David Haller and how he's kind of manipulating everybody?
First, I like that. They explain a little bit. I mean, definitely Silver Surfer vibes, right? A little bit with the way once they're in the astral plane. But I do like that Danny's like, very much just taking all this in. It is a little odd what she had said there. That kind of stood out to me. But I like that. Right off the bat, they think they're being greeted by rain, and it turns out it's rain, but not in the way that they were hoping it'd be as they get attacked like that. So definitely vicious there. I love the scene where Warlock is screaming alarm, alarm, when he sees his friends like up in flames, not quite understanding what is happening, but he knows it's bad. He knows it's an alert, and so he's trying to figure stuff out there. And then going back to this big red wall here, I just think it's such a cool imagery and perception of like what's happening and kind of what they're seeing throughout this. And again, going back to Pink Floyd, just more of that. So
yeah, well, and I did a little Doors reference that Bobby liked as far as breaking through to the other side here. But yeah, let's get more of this wall. This is where Xavier is using his ability to control this psychic space to kind of break it down. And meanwhile, Doug and some of the others that were sort of pulled into the astral plane are trying to survive this bubble and figure out a way to help. Danny is sort of struggling, and everybody seems to be somewhat harmed by this environment. Finally, Xavier just sort of has this almost like scream ability to shatter through. And when he does, David releases some phrases and says some things that makes Xavier realize, oh, dang, that's my boy. That's my boy, Blue. That's my baby. That's my kid. And instantly loses control of the bubble, and everybody starts falling. And he has to quickly try to grab and save everybody. And in the midst of all this panic, he is confronted by Legion. The idea that there are these 3, at least at this point, distinct personalities, all sort of working within inside of David. And they together create one identity, or one superpower, if you will, known as Legion. And Xavier is kind of at a loss that this is what seems to be a superpowered mutant with telepathy and telekinesis, and a human being dealing with schizophrenia, all of these personalities inside of him. So, Justin, what were your thoughts on this? I don't know if it's clear in this issue, but the reveal that we seem to get of the splintered mind.
Yeah, so huge moment for the father reveal. I mean, being for what that is, right?
I mean, it made him grow his eyebrows, right? I mean, look at his eyebrows. They just, it blew his eyebrows off.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. Yeah. The artwork is just absolutely insane throughout all this. And again, just getting more of that trippiness that we knew we were going to get. The long stretched arms, Professor X, he does remind us, and I don't remember if it's here or maybe later on, but he does remind us at some point. And for those who like maybe either you weren't reading the previous stuff or kind of the in-between stuff that technically was part of the omnibus, but the as John, you mentioned before, the Uncanny X-Men 193, the end of that, Professor X gets jumped by the Morlocks, and he gets into some real trouble health-wise and attacked over the course of 2 issues. So it does reference that here in some capacity. I know it was mentioned, but just as a reminder that he's struggling because he's not fully at 100%. So he keeps saying to himself, man, if I was just, if I was 100%, I'd be able to handle a lot more than what I'm doing right now, or juggle a lot more than I'm juggling right now. And it's just pulling so much out of him. The way he lets go of the bubbles that's holding the team, or the way that he's not able to protect those that are kind of in the real life stuff, which we'll get to, and then him, yes, he's able to kind of tear down the walls here, but that took so much out of him just in that moment. And then he's hit with a distraction of father, all that other stuff. So there's a lot going on, and especially for him. So trying to keep that in mind, or take consideration for what Professor X is going through, knowing that he just came off of this really bad beating from the Uncanny X-Men series that was kind of in between these issues, is something to, certainly keep in mind. And then, meeting the Legion, this to me was new. I was like, whoa, okay, I didn't know that. Like, this is the angle. This is, we got multiple, personalities here, multiple characters. I want to know more. Are these characters, are they like first appearances of all these characters? Is it all just one person? I'm very curious. So, but It was cool. I like how it was done in this way.
All right, let's go to Ryan. Ryan, what are your thoughts on this reveal of the Legion?
So Legion, the characters is something that I knew more of than I knew about. And when we got to this, because one thing that I thought that they very cleverly done, like that hashtag you see sometimes, we are Legion. I knew that was associated to this character, Charles's son, because of the multiple personalities. So I knew that was associated. But to see that reveal image, it's almost like a Mount Rushmore. And I think that looks so awesome right there.
True.
But when I was reading this last night and I got to this part, when I stopped for a second before I went into the next page, I thought to myself, so look at this. Charles Xavier is a man that would go on, obviously, to have money because he lives in a mansion in the United States, and he's
always refurbishing it. He's always fixing it after it gets busted up.
She didn't come to him for baby daddy money because he's the baby daddy. She didn't come to him for money. She wanted away from him for an obvious reason. Although at the same time, too, when you look beforehand, like she was even massaging his shoulders earlier. And I'm like, well, this is an interesting dynamic that she wanted to keep that so far away from him. It shows to me that it's like that little inner voice that you have that sometimes when everything sounds good, but you're like, I shouldn't do this. There's something wrong here.
Yep.
I felt that, and I think that that's great writing, that I would stop and think for a minute like that. And it all hit me at this point, right after this page, with like the little Mount Rushmore.
Sure. No, that makes total sense.
Yeah, well
We
said.
got Ryan, the other Ryan, Colossus Collector in the chat. And Ryan, I got my Council of X shirt on tonight. I know you were live earlier with the Council, so I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but I will definitely be catching that on the replay. Oh, look, there's a sticker going on. So
My
good
guy.
to see you, Ryan. I hope you're doing well, man. Well, let's continue along here. Otherwise, Tony's going to get grouchy because he's only listening to this show. He's on another show as usual. We've got, as we break through the wall and sink onto the other side, we've got Xavier coming to the realization of what he's really facing. On the outside, Warlock and Jamie, the multiple man, are taking care of now all these sort of unconscious heroes. And Xavier comes face to face with what it looks like on the inside of David's mind. We have this sort of 3-layered universe. Part of it is the rubble of Beirut, where David's early days were dealing with tragedy. But we've also got the beauty of Paris and the connection he has with France. And then amidst all of that, there is sort of this like Stephen King-esque dome, this black sort of sphere seemingly protecting or hiding something amidst all of this chaos. And we are left kind of wondering, like, what kind of psychedelic fever dream did we just roll into here? So Justin, what are your thoughts on Paris, Beirut, and the dome that we're discovering?
So, John, I got to be honest, I really was excited and thought that this was the view of Vegas, because Vegas has a sphere and they also have the Eiffel Tower. So I thought for sure.
Already he's back to.
I'm like, Legion is my guy.
Xavier's going to put a bet down.
He clearly Legion is, he's just been gambling this whole time. That's where he's partying. No, this is where the story really gets, it gets deep. Like, as far as the layers that go with, again, like, already I'm a little confused with the 3 characters that kind of show up as We Are Legion, all that stuff. And then, Professor X is like referring to, he's going deeper, and he sees that there's this whole little city, and then we get Beirut, we get the references to Paris. And in my mind, I'm like, what does any of this have to do with anything? I definitely was like, a little confused here at this moment, kind of figuring things out. Of course, we learn a bit more with the history and everything else, but that's hey, I'm just saying, I see what I see, see what I see. So anyways, I love that full, I guess it's a spread page, covers the both there. Even though it's not very colorful, it definitely sets the tone as far as, not good things are happening. It's essentially warfare, as we'll get more into, and there's no sunlight. It's very dark. So
a ton of negative space too, because they've got this sort of simple skyline, this big black sphere, and then the detail all sort of kept off to the side. No, it's not the golden nugget.
See, that's what I'm saying.
You and Justin, you got problems, man. You got problems. You won't use my powers to tamper with the gambling machines tomorrow. Fair. Ryan, what are your thoughts on the inner mind of David Haller here?
Definitely interesting. In the text, they say, they let you know that, because I kind of get the first impression that there's not a lot of people there, but that, at least according to the text, is not true, because it says everywhere there are screams of grief and agony as people see their loved ones slaughtered or are slain themselves. So I thought, okay, there's a lot to unpack when you get into this.
And I'm with you, Candace. Like, I've read this issue at probably 3 times now total. Probably once when I was younger, once at some point when I was rereading this as an adult, and then now. And I still am grasping pieces of this for the first time. So not at all on you. And then maybe and you could argue that's a flaw of the writer-artist relationship in these issues, or it's just demanding a lot more of a reader than maybe a casual issue of Spider-Man or Batman or something, Yeah. Ryan, anything else you wanted to mention there? Or should we see what
we can move on?
Next up, we get where this issue, in my opinion, really starts to get wild. Xavier is trying to understand and piece all these things together. There is war happening. The Beirut setting seems to have a lot of casualties going on. As Ryan mentioned, some screams and some war happening. The machines are not what you would think you would find in a normal battle. They've got, robotic limbs, and there's all kinds of scary kind of pieces happening here. And there's Rain. She's running through. There's Moira. There's Danny. It seems like everybody is here trying to figure this thing out. And Xavier himself is kind of lost. There are things hunting him as well. And he seems to almost fall victim to one of them. And then he is rescued by somebody named Jack Wayne, who comes and sort of saves him, seemingly using psychic powers or telekinetic powers of keeping rubble from landing on top of Xavier. So a real sort of, again, that fever dream element that I keep going back to seems to be the honest truth of what this is. And those of you that have watched the show Legion or are curious about it, this is a lot of the show. The show doesn't rip off or take directly from this, but it uses this as a springboard, as an inspiration point. And because the show can't, because of legal reasons, I don't think they could actually use typical like big name mutant character names. The show is from the perspective of David, and you get these kind of sequences that are, you just have to be willing to go along with it and kind of ride the rap, because it is buck wild, or as Candace says, really interesting visual depiction of mental health and trauma once you get there, right? So Ryan, what are your thoughts on what ultimately is a mentally unhealthy person's depiction of experience of war in Beirut?
I really agree with what Candace just said too. It is interesting, and mental illness can just put some type of a shade or a different filter over the eyes of anyone or anything, and it's not the same for any two people. It can't be can't be exactly the same. So I like that. But what I thought was interesting in this segment that we're looking at in these pages is I thought that we got a puzzle piece to Charles that we had never really had before, where he says, he's almost in admiration of Jack. And he says, Jack's much like the kind of man Xavier yearned to be when he was a boy, a devil-may-care roustabout adventurer, and it flatters him to see his son has similar dreams. So if I knew that about Charles, which I don't think we did, it's interesting to get to see how he went from that's what he wanted to be to what he ended up being.
Yep. Yeah, well said, man. Yeah, 100%. Now, Justin, how about you? First time reading this, going through here, did you have to reread pages? Were you feeling lost in some of this? Because I know that even as my third time reading it, I knew I had to slow way down on these 3 panels and then or pages and the next 3 pages.
Yeah. So the first time through reading this, and I'd read it twice total up till now. The first time through, I kind of just accepted that a lot of trippy things were happening and things that were kind of over my head, but I'm just going to go with it. Kind of what you mentioned. So these particular scenes here, I kind of just went with, took it for what it was. And then, second time around, and to Candace's point and Ryan's point, yeah, I think as I got a little bit more of a grip as to what was happening, helped me out a little bit more. So I think the second time through certainly made it more clear. But the first time I just went with it to kind of see, just to get onward to see where I was going. I will say, as Ryan pointed out, that's a great piece that, to highlight is that bottom right-hand corner there, that one orangey kind of panel where he first meets Jack is definitely an insight to a piece of Xavier that, yeah, we've never really heard him describe, or at least from my experience of it. And I feel like to a degree, Xavier is still somebody who I still haven't learned enough about yet. I mean, some of his history and things like that. I mean, we joke about a lot of things, but there's still a lot to him that I think at this point is not quite fully revealed from some of his history. So this is definitely just a moment that kind of shows a little bit about that. So I did like that.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Well, let's continue the psychedelic fever dream, because Jack Wayne is basically helping Xavier understand what's going on, the freedom fighting going on inside of this portion of David's mind. And we've got Gabby really frustrated and upset with kind of the things that are happening here. Her fear of kind of what this all means for her son, for the secrets maybe she's been keeping from people. Amidst all of this, we get another personality. We get a young gal, and I've already forgotten her name.
Cindy.
Another personality inside of David. This one seems to have something maybe more in common with Jubilee. She's got the punk thing going strong.
Lila Shanae.
Yeah, there it is. I'm okay with that reference as well. So yeah, the drones and the machines of war keep happening. The team keeps trying to keep things together and save everybody's lives. But there's a lot of chaos going on here, Justin. What were your thoughts on Magnum here as he continues to go?
Yeah, so I think that these moments here, especially that middle page, reveals a bit more when you see the reaction of Gabby, Gabby Haller, kind of yelling or freaking out about this one particular, they keep referencing as an Arab that they've been chasing after. And she recognizes this individual and shouts out, "He murdered my dearest friend, David's godfather. He tried to kill David himself." Like, we get a little bit more history from this one individual to get where I started to get the vibe of like, okay, this is like an unwelcomed guest that is essentially involved somehow. Not sure exactly if this guest has mutant powers of their own, or if they're operating from the outside in, or if they're just part of this. But clearly there's a history there, and Gabby had kind of revealed that. So that to me was a little bit more of a connecting piece to everything. And then we get this girl Cindy, who I guess we don't really get into too much of it yet. But there were the other scene of like a lot more violence and war just going on, the machine guns and everything else kind of tied into it. One thing I wanted to point out was that throughout this issue, it was highlighted, I think twice, or at least two different aspects of it, where Doug was in the beginning a bit more confident with everything that was going on. He seemed a bit more like, this is a journey, this is fun, this is an adventure, we'll see where it takes us. And Danny had pointed, I think, not only Danny, but Professor X pointed that out, and that he just seemed so much more calm knowing that Professor X was around. I know Professor X even says, like, he kind of took that as flattery, that he feels that safe, even though he's not that safe right now, and I need to get him out of here. But later at this time, these pages, Doug is now terrified, and Danny's like, "You all right?" He's like, "Yeah, no, I want to go home." And she's like, "Okay, you're more on my level now, because we need to get out of here. This is not safe. This is not an adventure. We need to get out of here." And Dougie's starting to, realize the fact that these stakes are
just a translator, guys. Like, yes. Really, I'm the C-3PO of this team. Yeah. I really can't offer a whole lot.
Hey, and even that was a cool moment where he was like, "What? I wish it reveals a lot for him." We haven't talked a lot about Doug, but he does show in these pages that. And he has in the past too, with other books, other issues, where he feels like he doesn't really have a cool power compared to everybody else. And yet,
or at least he has an offensive power,
right? And yet he has saved the day. Now he saved the day in the last big story arc that we had gone through, or at least was a big part of it. And now even here, he's played a little bit of a role, but it still was like, Danny immediately points it out, like, hey, like, he's screaming this other language, like, and he translates. He's like, she's like, see, like, you're helping. This is, we need you here, like. So just interesting to see. I hope that builds more confidence in Doug. Moving forward. Yeah.
Sure. Jackson says, JP, get the coffee pot going. They're complaining about how slow we're going. JP's like, coffee won't save us. Guys, we're only an hour and 20 minutes. We're almost at the end of the second issue.
Have you ever watched one of my episodes, guys?
I was just say, in 2 weeks, we're going to be on Justin's channel with Tony.
Yeah.
You know that guy. We're gonna be a 3-hour stream easy
minimum,
when we do the finale of this story. So just buckle up. Ryan, any thoughts here on Magnum PI, the personalities we're dealing with, the conflict that's going on inside of David?
So I just thought at this point, I believe it was at this point, that they were reiterating again, which they had said already, if something happens to us here in this part, that will affect what's happening to our actual physical bodies. And they're saying it again. And I'm like, you've already said this. This just felt like a little stretched out, this portion, to me, just a little bit. And with the introduction of Cindy, I was like, because I knew we were getting close to the end of this story. I'm like, damn, we introducing another character right now? And I was like, whoa. So
we ain't done.
Yeah. At this point in my reading, I was kind of like, I guess we're not getting any Magneto and Lee in this issue. I guess we're not getting any Emma in this issue. But not that this is bad. This is still 2 really good issues, but I was hoping to at least get a page of one of the other.
Want to see her spanking more kids. I get it.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about Lee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's meet our new friend. Was it Candy? Is that what it was?
Cindy.
Yeah, sure. That one. She is eating an apple and complaining about this war zone and how she's really just doesn't have any interest in dealing with it. The team is trying to just fight off these weird robot monsters who are hunting them down, using their powers as best they can to fight these creatures. It seems to be that they're all pointing the finger at Gabby. They all seem to be very frustrated with her and the way she's been keeping secrets and the attitude she's got about basically pretending like she doesn't know what's going on when she clearly has a lot more information than she's willing to let on. So what were your thoughts here, Ryan, as everybody sort of turns on Mom?
So one thing I thought was interesting is, Cindy's playing down on Rain and kind of even drops the apple core on her head and everything. And usually that's kind of like a sore subject for Rain. And I guess they didn't have the time, at least at this point, to devote to how that made her feel, because a lot of times in the past they have, or there's been some reactionary from her. But I guess they know they're in such deep doo-doo that they just got to get out of the situation that they're
right.
in. So, and the fact, that they say no one, this Arab is going to keep everyone out from being able to get into that dome, into the core. And I kind of felt that was implied already. I don't know. That's at least what I got several pages earlier. So I don't know where I was at this point. I'm just kind of like, it is what it is.
It's a little overwhelming too at this point. We've had several pages of this 9-panel chaos. And at some point it's a little overwhelming. We're a bit desensitized.
The thing that I thought that we got out of this portion here was just the fact that Cindy is the pyrotechnic, which explains the explosion that ended the previous issue.
Right.
So that made a little bit more sense. That tied it together. That's the most I got from just this portion of the issue.
Sure. Justin, thoughts here on Cindy the bomb or Mom and her secrets?
Yeah, so I think that for these pages, at least, it reveals a little bit more about how concerned these individual mindsets were. Yes, there's this character who's creating havoc inside the brain of them, David, essentially, but they're a little torn with okay, do we help out and stop this individual? But then does that mean we're gone too? Jack had brought that up earlier. Does that affect, do we wake him up and let him take over David, or if that, is that a good thing or a bad thing? And ultimately Jack had kind of chalked it up to we're part of him. So if we're gone, we're really not, we're still with him. But Cindy was I don't care. I could care less. Let this guy, create his havoc and whatever. So I don't know, just to give, I guess, these characters a little bit more. I agree. It's definitely a lot. There's a lot. I mean, you're introducing multiple characters, throughout this book. And so that alone is definitely to something that's already complex. The story gets very heavy. I do feel, like I said, after reading the first time through, I was a bit, John, how'd you put it in the beginning? You said it may just require more out of you, more effort or more, and that's kind of how I took this read. Because now that I've gone through it the second time, I did really enjoy this whole aspect of things. The whole thing with the mother, I understand she didn't want to tell this, hey, Professor X, this is your son. That secret, fine. You want to keep that? That's okay. But yeah, she has a ton more to reveal here as far as just the details. And I didn't understand, she kept saying, even as that one kind of joke where she's outside the doorway as they're all arguing, and she's like, oh, that's that one thing I didn't want to tell you. No, there's 18 different things that you didn't want to tell.
There's a lot of secrets.
Yes. Why? Yeah. That, this all obviously would have helped so much. So I think this is definitely a big portion on her. I get that she's scared. I get that she, doesn't quite know how to handle it, and is also still, again, has the excuse of being afraid of Professor X and all this other stuff. But this is deadly stuff, and her son is clearly not in a good condition and needs help. So
Yeah.
when do you just go and say, hey, like I need all the help I can get? And I feel like even then she dragged her feet on it. So
Yeah.
definitely feeling mixed on Gabby for sure.
For sure. And I think you should, because she brings up the personality of the Arab, is what she calls him. The idea that there's this other sort of parasitic personality inside of David. There's the two that seem like homegrown natural personalities, and then there's this other deviant one that he's dealing with, which brings us to the ending here, where sort of like I don't know, Saving Private Ryan moment where Xavier is sitting around with Jack Wayne, and Jack Wayne's like, look, you want to solve this thing, you want to get your people home, you've got to kill this personality, this other person inside of him. You've got to kill the Arab, and here's the blade that you can do it. Here's this knife. And Xavier's like, no, I'm not give me the knife. Let's go. That's basically the whole conversation. Xavier's like, no, I can't possibly give me the knife. Let's kill this guy. Justin, did you have any other takeaways from Xavier's response here at the last few panels?
It's kind of more the same as you joke. Like he's just like, he knows something has to be done, but he denies it. And then he's just like, yeah, all right, like, yes, let's do the thing. The idea that you came up with, let's do it. So I don't know if it says he's just behind every step of the way, or he's just in denial every step of the way, or I don't know, but yeah, like it. I mean, I loved how this ended. I'm definitely like, I gotta read more. Like, I want to know what happens here. As he points out, he says, I'm not a killer. I'm not one to. He's not a physical, kind of individual when it comes to these, these disagreement or these situations. But sure enough, he's like, okay, like, yeah, our back's against the wall. I guess there really is no other choice. Let's do it. So I love the shot down here, them with that's the Arab.
Dome.
Yeah. Well, the dome, but the Arab is like, continuing to cause the havoc, has the two guns standing on that middle,
Sure.
Piece there. Just look like a really cool perspective, and really building up, again, Jack talking to Professor X saying, hey, look, there's all this stuff that's going on right now, and it's not going to stop. This is doing what he's always wanted to do, is what he plans to continue to do. Are you going to do something about it or not? And then you get the blade. So that was, I liked it.
No, well said. Yeah. Ryan, any last thoughts here on how this wraps up, what Jack is basically setting Xavier up to do?
So I liked, kind of towards the end portion here where, Charles had said to Jack, well, aren't you worried that if I succeed in my mission, that's going to make you not exist anymore? Yeah. And he's like, it could, but I'm part of him. And as long as he exists, don't I still exist? And you see Charles almost admire him a little bit, because that's a brave stance to take when he's helping Charles to succeed in his mission, even though it might be the downfall of Jack. And you see a little bit of admiration in there. It's not surprising that Charles decides to take the knife at the end, but it's a good place to end this portion of the story and a good panel, to end right on, to make you want to go into that next issue. So they accomplished, I think, very well what they set out to do, which is make you want to read the next issue.
Well said. And JP wants to point out, Xavier, every time someone suggests he does something unethical and potentially bad, no, I couldn't possibly. Let's go. I'm in. Fair.
Yeah. 5 seconds later.
that's fairly common with him. Well, let's give some scores here. As always, you in the chat can give your scores. How would you rate these issues? You want to separate them? Do you want to do it together? I think it's hard to separate these two in particular, and with the next issue that's going to go with it. But let's hear some grades on a CGC 1 through 10 scale. Justin, how are you feeling about these two books?
So I'm glad that it continues on, that it didn't just wrap up within these two issues. I don't know how much longer we go with this, but I'm really enjoying this. The artwork, I love the outer body experiences for anything story related. So this, to me, I'm a big fan of, and seeing a bit more of Professor X's wheelhouse as far as what he's in control of, even though he's not fully 100% with some of the recent stuff going on. And I do like that the team contributes in a lot of different ways. We didn't talk about Danny came up with another idea where she said, Professor X, you go do your thing, find Tom and Sharon, and we'll work together with Rain and figure everything else out, our connection we have. So she was still like taking leadership roles. I really liked to see that, to be able to say, hey, we got this, you do that, we'll be okay, and everything is good. while yes, there's a lot of characters involved, I think it's more of just, this is just a heavier read. This is, I mean, I know the chat's making jokes about taking a longer time, but there's just so much to talk about here, I feel, because there's so many different aspects to it. There's a lot of emotion. Yeah. And I think I do think it's done well. I think it's done well enough. Again, yes, it took, I think it takes a couple reads, but that's more or less because it's not a light read. It's not like, superhero, bad guy, bada bing, bada boom. Like it's so much more than that. So with all that being said, the first issue I'm going with a 9.8 on. That is, I loved, and I think the cover also gives it that bump on top of that. I really enjoyed it. I think the second issue, introducing the extra characters and everything, it's only going to drop it to a 9.6. I really enjoyed these two. I can't really say anything that bad about them. If you take the time to really read these and be patient with the story and let yourself really dive into this, at least for myself, how my experiences were with it, I enjoyed it that much. So, and obviously the artwork as well. So I hope it ends well. I don't know where we're going from here, but at least for these two issues, I will buy. Yeah. I mean, I already said it before, 26. I'm going to buy that every time I see it. I have 27 now, so I'm happy with that. But yeah, I love these issues.
And yeah, it does give it away. It says next, the conclusion, Soul War. So I didn't spoil it to imply that, yeah, the next issue is the finale. And then the second issue we just discussed with Tony will be the start of the next kind of storyline or whatever. Yeah. Longer time, Justin. I'm so closer to retirement. Get out of here. You're such a punk. We got a 9.2 from Matt and Clemson. Nice. We got Jackson Roy Kirk saying that 3.0 when he first read it, 7.5 now. Okay. He's upgraded. Very nice. JP saying that it's a 10.0 because you can see how big of a scumbag Chuck is. So that's what's really making it a winner for him. Bobby says it's a 9.6 with crazy white pages for both. Nice. What about you, Ryan? Where are you grading this book, or these books, I should say?
I will start saying I like the first one more than I liked the second one. And with the first one, even though, we get the Easter egg with Firestar and Emma Frost, which has nothing to do with this story. I love that. But we've come to expect stuff like that in this title, too.
Sure.
And then we get the Lee and the Magneto stuff, which has nothing to do with this story, but still putting along, it's a thread that will get, I assume, pulled a little bit later, because I forgot exactly what progresses with that storyline. So I'm going to do for the first one a 9.6. For the second one, still a strong story. Don't get me wrong. To be a guest and to get two really good issues like this really felt like a gift, because these were really good issues. So 9.6 on the first one, 9.2 on the second one.
Yeah, right.
So
and I'm right there with you, Ryan. I think that definitely agreeing with everybody saying the first issue is better. I just think that the second issue has so many pages in a row that feel repetitive a little bit when they're inside of the Beirut and dealing with the robots and stuff. It felt a little bit too like a constant barrage of the same kind of thing over and over again, and that dragged it down for me. I'm in the 9.4, 9.0 range maybe on my two, but right around in there. These are great. And I think make me want to go back and rewatch the Legion series when we're done with this. I think that's going to be something on my list at some point, just because I enjoy the fever dream of it all. And these are just a whole lot of fun. So if you haven't read the Legion drama storyline, we've hooked you up with the beginning. You got to follow Justin and be there for the finale when we get over there. Let's see. Candace says, yeah, I appreciate the discussions around both issues. I like them more now that I cleared up a bunch of things. Well, that's great. I appreciate that, Candace. That's great to hear.
Awesome.
But yeah, don't feel in any way like disheartened by that, because I think it's a very common reaction to these very kind of bulky issues overall.
Oh, yeah.
Let's jump to the numbers really quick. Obviously, the key element here is it's the first full appearance of David Haller and his various personalities referred to as Legion. And so that's what makes these two books often sought after. The 9.8 for issue 26 can go for $110 fair market value. There are about 610 of them. So this is a book that gets graded fairly often in the New Mutants run. The other issue in a 9.8 goes for $42, because obviously not as sought after, although it is more accurately the first appearance of the Legion personalities. You get to know them and see them a lot more. So maybe underrated by comparison, but obviously David being the the carrier of all those personalities, maybe he is the more important character versus the the splits. Any thoughts here, Justin, on these this bit of information?
Yeah, I wonder what is labeled on like a CGC label for the issue 27. I'll have to look look that up. But I will say, I mean, $42 for a 9.8, that essentially is what the cost of getting the book slab to begin with. I would probably just buy that. And of course I do get a 9.8 for the Legion book, $110 I think is cheap. And between the fact that it's a fantastic story and a character that I'm really into, the artwork, the cover is so good that I think that's actually considered cheap. Ultimately, I mean, I don't need it slabbed. I would, you want to read this book, open it up, but definitely would be nice to kind of have one on display like that.
So CGC just says Legion appearance on issue 27.
Okay,
that's
missed opportunity. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
Lasso, any thoughts here on these two books and the pricing, the monies?
I think I'm guessing that these probably came down in price after they probably hyped up when the TV show was announced and hit, and then probably lasted almost 8-9 months after the show ended, and then started going back down again. I think they're actually good deals for how good of a story it is.
Agreed.
Not that you can read it when it's slab, but
I mean, sure. That's why the omnibus exists, right? That's what we're here for. Yeah, I agree with you guys completely. Let's thank you for everybody for hanging out. Make sure we are now joining for the trivia portion of the show. So you've survived, gang. 1 hour and 40 minutes. We have reached the trivia bit here. We've come to the end. I'm gonna grab my trusty scorecard. As a reminder, the giveaway wheel is packed with goodies. You too could get on the list. Sometimes one entry is all you need to win the big prizes. There are 3 opportunities for every trivia question that we ask.
Can I just say something?
No, you gotta wait. First 2 correct answers, always good ways to win on the wheel. You can copy and paste if you're not sure what to say, but also whatever wrong answer that Magic Lasso likes the most can get you on the wheel. And because I don't know if you guys can see very well on my list here, that's Ryan right there at the top. He is absolutely dominating. You guys have an opportunity tonight to really push past the scoreboard leaders tonight. So, Ryan, what do you want to tell folks?
I want to say, why are they picking on the guy that's going to decide if they're getting a point or not about his wall? And then I also want to say, how disappointed are these people going to be when they realize that this wall is just a green screen and it's fully decorated behind it?
There you go. Yeah. That's a smart way to do it.
There it is.
Just saying.
There it is.
John, really making you wait. Yeah. I'm making you wait. I'm making you wait, Tony. You're on some other stream here, acting the fool. I don't care for your shenanigans. But let's jump over to Justin. What is your first trivia question about the previous comics, issues 24 and 25 that we read over on your channel?
So might be one of my favorite questions that I get to ask here. What did Magneto do for the first time? And it happened in issue 24. Issue 24, we realized that something had happened, and it was a
first.
Yes, a true first. It was a true first. I had put it in the numbers, the information at the end. What was that true first? What was it that Magneto did for the very first time in a comic book? It was in issue 24. All right.
No, don't do it. Don't call it too early. There it is. Firstly, Adam makes stuff up, gets another point on the board. And the next one that I see, and I don't know about you, Justin, the next correct answer I see
Candace,
is Candace, because somebody else wrote he applies.
Yeah, I think Tony was going for the comedy answer there, I think.
I don't know what applies means, but it is a wrong answer, so it's in the running if Ryan enjoys it the most.
If no one else,
Candace and Adam score the win there. It involves the horns on his helmet, says Lasso. You can't vote for yourself, buddy. Can't vote for yourself. He admits his Diana Ross fandom.
First time.
Tony trying to drop foul language in my chat. Somebody drop a hammer on that guy. Oh, he's got a wrench. Dang it. He watched an episode of Mama's Family. Oh, now Bobby knows Ryan. I'm just going to say. He realized he's a Dazzler fanboy.
There it is.
That's possible. He enjoyed a fine Rachel dinner.
Oh, yes.
Shout out to Chet, Scotland.
Gotta love the Rachel dinners.
Lots of good comedy there, Ryan. Yeah, they're
So,
feeding you, right? They're feeding you.
They did, and they fed me very well. But the best meal on my tray belonged to Bobby.
Bobby Delgado, Mama's Family.
Mama's Family.
Bobby with the W there. Well done, Bobby. Oh, a little too late with the Wonder Woman comment there, Jackson. Up
Just
your StreamYard, up your speed.
Copy and paste it for the next one.
Question 2.
Yeah, drop the line.
Drop the line.
The previous 2 issues had to do with Cloak and Dagger and the issues going on that we had seen preceding this quite a ways back as far as the impact on other characters like Bobby. My question is, since losing his powers, what unusual habit did Cloak or Tyrone develop? What happened to Tyrone since losing his abilities? He had changed in some way. Obviously, Bobby, Roberto, gained those powers. But what was it that that happened to Tyrone? Taking pictures of Scott and Maddie. That's nobody. I mean, that's just bad news all around.
It's a new line of work.
Right.
Got to pay the bills.
How did Tyrone change because of losing his powers? What happened to Tyrone? It's pretty quiet in the chat. Everybody's like, I don't know how the answer to that question. That's too hard. This is too difficult.
I ain't got no one to copy and paste.
It's been 2 whole weeks, John. We can't possibly be expected to remember that. He could only get places by moonwalking.
Boom, boom, boom.
Started stealing Wolverine's sandwiches. That's a serious side effect. That can get you cut up.
Yep.
You can stab somebody.
Big time.
He started collecting DC titles. Woof. Really dangerous. Holy guacamole. So far, 0 correct answers. I thought this was going to be an easy one. I thought this was a layup. But how did Tyrone change? Thank you, of course, to Jackson Roy Kirk dropping the starting lines for us. Again, we've missed you. Ryan's been carrying on for you.
Yeah, he's got you covered.
He started experiencing daylight hours, just going out in the daytime. That's what
I mean.
He didn't want his powers back, and he kept bitching about it. I mean, Tony's not wrong. That is definitely what happened to him. I'm going to give one more response before I give the correct answer, and we just move on. No correct answers this round. Just comedy answers that Ryan can pick from here. He could only talk in rhymes. The correct answer was he started stuttering. Yeah. He had a stutter. His words did not come out fluidly anymore. He started stuttering, and he had this unusual habit for the last couple of issues. He had a normal life, and he can now break dance. He's a breakdance fighting superhero. Ryan, any favorite wrong answers in this section?
Do have a favorite one. MIC, Matt and Clemson.
Ooh, nice. The moonwalk early on.
Good one, Matt.
All right, Maddie with the point on the board. Back to Justin with his second question.
Yeah, my second question. This also comes from issue 24. What shirt was Sam Guthrie wearing that made Professor X ask him to dress more accordingly in the future? Professor X was not happy with the shirt that Sam Guthrie was wearing. What was on that shirt that Sam Guthrie was wearing? Or what kind of shirt was it, I should ask? Yeah, he Professor X, he was certainly a piece of work in that issue, amongst other issues, really all the same. But yeah, definitely irked me. What was the shirt that he was wearing in issue 24? Sam Guthrie. Professor X did not like the shirt that Mr. Sam Guthrie was wearing. What was on it? Oh, chat just jumped.
All right, we've got the starting line again. I don't know if I've got any correct answers. It said, really? Dude never wears a shirt, says Matt and Clemson. Fair comedy. Yeah. I don't know that I can highlight Ryan's comment. I don't know.
You can highlight that.
There's no foul language. I guess I'll just leave that up to people. Sure.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. He got my Professor Xavier as a jerk shirt. There you go.
Love that shirt.
It's an AC/DC shirt, of course. It said, I got my mind invaded and all I got was this stupid shirt.
I like that.
There you go. A Diana Ross concert shirt.
Ooh.
Oh, a little slow on the Professor X is a jerk shirt comment. No, he had another one too late on the Diana Ross. The I'm with stupid shirt. Oh my goodness.
Standing next to Professor X.
Do you have any answers you think are correct?
Yes. So I'm going to give it to Candace, who wrote Lila's band shirt.
There you go.
And I will give it to Tony Oldwolf, who wrote Lila Cut Off. I will give
you wrote Lila, and then you wrote Lila Cut Off.
Yeah, I give you the. I give
Took him a few tries.
Yeah,
but he came around.
I'm being nice, Tony. So
get yourself together. You could have still gotten there in time. I'm just saying it. All right. Who had the best wrong answer, Ryan?
I'm with stupid.
I'm with stupid. Where is he at? Conlon.
Nice.
Well played, Conlon. Getting another point on the board. Where are you at, Conlon? He is set in second place, I think, at this point.
Oh, take it off. I'm picking someone else then.
It's like
picking someone else. It sounds like Tony. It sounds like Tony.
All right. Last question of the night. Ileana at one point decides she's going to fix this whole thing. Nobody's helping. Xavier can't be found. I've got a solution to fix what Roberto and Rain are dealing with. What is her solution to how she will solve the team's problem? How does she solve this? Yeah, no backseas, says Conlon. No backseas. So how does Ileana or Magic, how does Magic decide to solve the problem? Start an only feet page. Does she have nice feet? I don't know. She's usually wearing those knee-high boots or thigh-high boots. Limbo, how low can you go? Oh, send them to Limbo and play Limbo. It's like a half a correct answer and half a wrong. I will accept these two. Take them down to Limbo.
Is that anywhere by Funky Town?
It's near Flavortown.
Oh, Flavortown.
So I'm going to accept the answer. Take them to Limbo from Old Wolf and JP. Let's see here. Where are you at, Tony? There you are. And JP, there you are. Ultimately, what she tries to do is take the powers out of them and into herself. And of course, this is not a great idea. And Xavier gives her some grief for it a little bit later. She starts a war with Ukraine. That's a slight overreaction. I feel like that's excessive. That's a bit much, Bobby. So far, Bobby, the only one besides Ryan with a comedy answer. Too much words. Too much words. You're too much words. You're too much, period. You can get out. Get back on the show that you're on, the other show. Get out of here, buddy. Such a waste. Oh, my goodness. So far, only one good comedy answer. I'm just giving a couple more seconds to see if anybody else gets one in here so that Ryan can give away some points. Matt and Clemson says she's got a great idea to get Wonder Woman to sing Diana Ross's greatest hits.
I do kind of like that.
Playing to the judge.
Yeah.
I like it. Let's all go get Orange Julius, said Jackson Roy Kirk. I haven't had an Orange Julius in a hot minute. All right. Ryan, any favorites? We got like 3 in there, I think.
Yeah. Give it to Bobby.
Bobby, war in Ukraine. Oh, Bobby. Always getting us in there with the good laughs. Appreciate you guys. Yes, folks, that is it. 1 hour, 54 minutes. We are wrapped. 2 great issues. A great guest named Ryan from Magic Lasso YouTube channel and Instagram linked down below. He had a great video drop today. So subscribe, jump over there, see his new additions. He's even got some X-Men love there with his pop-up.
Just for JP.
You had to go to the Cyclops page. I had to do it.
Just
Had to do
it.
it. There's the page.
There she
See,
is.
now I'll blow you up. I'll blow it up big on that page. That's worthy of it right there.
Heck
See?
yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Look, I can
awesome.
even pull.
Ooh, a little
Ooh,
info, some
fancy.
sneaky details.
Yeah.
I like that.
Nice.
Ooh, Candace says she has that book. There she is.
Yeah.
Nice. I gotta get that book.
As a reminder, 2 weeks from tonight, we're over on Justin's channel for the finale of this story and the start of the next story. 2 issues, issues 28 and 29 on April 29th over on his channel with Old Wolf. Maybe we won't let him in the door. Maybe we will keep him out after tonight. I don't know. What's this other show gonna do without Tony being on it every single night? Who knows? These are the questions that we will try to answer for you next time. Huge thank you to Ryan, especially for jumping in at the last second.
Thanks for
Thank you,
having me
Ryan.
on.
Awesome
Appreciate you,
guest
man.
as always. Thank
And
you.
John's
to the
on my
chat.
channel tomorrow night.
I am on Ryan's channel. Yeah, we're talking Silver Age team books, and you can hear about Drag Queen Batman if you really want to see it.
Nice.
Thank you to Paul for signing up for these issues, and I hope you're feeling better, my friend. And we will get you back next season, guaranteed.
For sure.
So thanks everybody for coming by, and we will see you all again later.
Later.